These are some Dinar Guru updates, starting off with Paulette question. Iraq is supposed to join the WTO this 18th of July. Is that correct? Paulette says the 18th is the next meeting of the steering committee. The full assembly would have to vote to allow Iraq full accession. They are not scheduled to meet until early 2026. It would be extremely uncommon for a steering committee to only meet with a country 2 times after the initial meeting. 4 to 7 is the usual. This is only the second meeting of the steering committee for Iraq. Mark Z via PDK says there are supposedly movement of Kurdish leaders in Iraq visiting Baghdad, and the rumor is the HCL will be nailed down tight, done, and the announcement could be today. Moving on to Frank 26, WTO, you don't have to value your currency, but if you can't have any stains on your currency, what do you mean by that? The Iraqi dinar had sanctions on it, remember? The United Nations Security Council, they put handcuffs on the dinar. They cannot be used internationally. It was on the OFAC list. You can't touch it. It was taboo. It cannot have any sanctions, restrictions. It must be fully capable of moving in the international markets. Moving on to Militiaman. Militiaman says Iraq has a meeting with WTO according to the calendar on around the 18th of this month. What is it about? It's talking about their accession process, whether that's going to happen or not. That day, I don't know, but assuming that it's moving forward, it sounds like their accession is going to be imminent. All right, moving on to Guru Fnulu. Back in 2011, I was told by my attorneys that the revaluation would follow the guide rails set out by Dr. Shabibi. Dr. Sanan al-Shabibi has quite the CV in that he held a BSc in economics from Baghdad University in 1966, a diploma in advanced studies in economic development, an MA in economics from University of Manchester 1970-71, and a PhD in economics from University of Bristol 1975. He was said to be an authority on the Marshall Plan, which in essence is what's happening in Iraq at this very moment. I was also told the plan was to resurrect the pre-invasion dinar valued at $3.22 or thereabouts. Guru Fnulu goes on to say, I was also told Iraq would have no need of using the IMF model of baskets of currencies, of which an average is calculated, as that would drag down the IQD, raise up inferior currencies, in other words, a fixed rate, at least during Reconstruction infrastructure phase. This was 13 years ago, and time necessitates changes sometimes. It seems nothing is etched in stone these days, but of many things I was told the presence of a UST agent and a couple other attorneys. Everything they said at that meeting has come true, so I'm going to stick with what has been dependable info. I am, however, a little surprised at the flood of info coming forth. I would have thought that they would hold their cards a little closer to their vest. That being said, never rule out the old trick of misdirection. All right, lastly, Frank 26 says, once you see the HCL, when will you see the new exchange rate? And he said, that fast.